Buy or sell, Josh Heupel is the second best head coach in college football right now. ESPN's Bill Connlley thinks so. Buy or sell, more than one starting quarterback for the Volunteers this fall. All that and more, it's your Tuesday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. I am your host, Eric Cain. Appreciate you guys for being here. Making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network where it is your team every single day. Today's show is going to be a good one. Josh Heupel, the second best head coach in college football right now. ESPN's Bill Connlley thinks so. We'll explain, show the work right there. Buy or sell, more than one starting quarterback for the Volunteers in 2025. We got some of your feedback on that as well. We'll take your questions, your mailbag questions in segment number 3. Caleb Jarreau from the Daily Times is going to join us here to get his reaction from SEC Media Days. All that and more. It is your Tuesday Locked On Vols. I'm the host here of Locked On Vols, also a member of the VolQuest.com team here in town, covering Tennessee athletics each and every single day. We'll look forward to Josh Ward for Ward Wednesday tomorrow, and we are just a week away from the start of Tennessee football fall camp. Can't wait for that. So, Josh Heupel, the second best head coach in college football right now. On the surface, it sounds kind of bizarre, to be honest with you. Now, Josh Heupel certainly is top 10 in my opinion. We have all these different variations of offseason rankings, USA Today, CBS Sports, On 3. I mean, again, but somebody was getting mad at me in the YouTube comments. Not a day that goes by that somebody didn't get mad at me in the YouTube comments. Comes with the territory, that's fine, for continuously talking about Nico. And it's like, well, number one, that's the biggest story in college football, and it directly pertains to this year's team and how it's viewed, a la how it's voted on at SEC Media Days and how it's looked at in terms of the national media heading into this season. But nonetheless, I mean, it's always something, right? And you know, a lot of people are trashing Bill Connlley over at ESPN for having Josh Heupel there as the number 2 best active head coach in college football right now. He does it a little bit different. He's got a little bit of a different spin on it, and we'll discuss that right now. But there's all these different, you know, stories and all these different lists going on throughout the offseason. You know, we're in the middle of July right now, but, you know, fall camp's right around the corner. So we've seen some of these before, but this is a new one, right? And again, on the surface, it sounds a little bit bizarre because I think Josh Heupel's top 10, no doubt. You look at what Josh Heupel's done throughout his 4 years here at Tennessee, it's been super impressive, right? But he has Josh Heupel listed at number 2 under best active FBS head coaches, minimum of 4 years. He incorporates a lot of his SP Plus rankings. He incorporates a baseline metric in there, and he starts with essentially, you know, if you dumb it down to the very basics of how we view a head coach, it's on 2 things: overall quality and quality relative to expectations for the job. In other words, how much you win, okay, winning percentage, how much do you win, and how much do you win with the expectations of what your job is. Winning at Bowling Green is much different than winning at Auburn. Winning at Mississippi State is much different than winning at the University of Tennessee. Winning at Ole Miss. That's why we always thought Lane Kiffin was going to jump ship, right? Florida or Auburn or so on and so forth. Because winning at Ole Miss is great, but there's a different set of standards than at these other schools. You know, Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, so on and so forth. Now, Lane is kind of changing that narrative at Ole Miss for sure, and he's done a really, really good job at Ole Miss the last 5 years. But you know what I'm trying to say? So it's quality of wins, how much you win, versus the expectations that your job holds. And going off the baseline, based on his SP Plus rankings and his coaching ranking, Bill Connlley of ESPN.com has Josh Heupel at number 2. At number 2 on this list of head coaches, minimum of 4 years of the job. Ryan Day of Ohio State is at number 1. Kirby Smart of Georgia is number 3. And again, like, the expectations for Kirby at Georgia are different. The grand scheme of things, they're not, but, you know, relative history is important, right? Kirby is expected to win 10 games every single year. Josh Heupel was expected to win 5 or 6 games his first year, yet he won 7 games. Josh Heupel was expected to win 8 games his second year. Josh Heupel in Tennessee won 11 games and won the Orange Bowl. Tennessee wasn't necessarily viewed as a college football playoff contender last year, yet Tennessee made the college football playoffs, and in a down year, Tennessee finished 8-4 and won the Citrus Bowl over Iowa. So what Josh Heupel has done can't be viewed as greater than or equally as important or equally as impressive as, say, what a Kirby Smart's done based on his expectations, what a Ryan Day has done based on his expectations. This is a Tennessee podcast, guys. I mean, I feel like I'm not going to say slanted, but I put a positive spin on some things with Tennessee when I see fit, because I like this Tennessee team. I do. I am not sitting here saying Josh Heupel's a better coach than Kirby or Ryan Day. I'm not. But based on expectations from where he got the job and all that and more, I think that you can make that argument. And that's what Bill Connlley's doing here, right? Ryan Day, number 1. Josh Heupel, number 2. Kirby Smart, number 3. James Franklin, number 4. James Franklin's interesting because, again, he wins a lot of games, but they don't win an awful lot. Does that make sense? Like, he wins a lot of games, but they didn't make the college football playoff. I think they made it maybe one or two years. Didn't do anything in it. But then again, the expanded playoff, they made it, won a game, right? Won a game in convincing fashion at home. They haven't won any Big Ten championships, haven't won a ton of New Year's Six bowl games. I don't have the resume in front of me, so I could be misspeaking some. My point is they haven't won a lot of championships, obviously, and they haven't won a whole lot of games that matter. But he does win a ton of games, right? And they're considered the upper echelon in college football programs and, of course, in the Big Ten. But you do have Oregon now, you have Ohio State, you have Michigan, you have some other really, really good top-end talent in the Big Ten. So James Franklin's kind of interesting there. He comes in there at number 4. Dabo Swinney's at number 5, and he gets a lot of credit. Bill Connlley puts in his article here. He gets a whole lot of credit of building Clemson into the quote-unquote blue blood that it is now. Dabo Swinney did that, right? He's got Dan Mullen at number 6, who's now with UNLV. Lane Kiffin at number 7. Brian Kelly at number 8. Jeff Traylor of UTSA at number 9. Mike Gundy of Oklahoma State at number 10. In case you're wondering, I'm not going to list the entire top 30 that he has right here, but Barry Odom, who's now at Purdue's at number 11. Kellen DeBoer is at number 13. Jeff Brom is at number 15. Billy Napier's at number 12. I skipped him. Brett Bielema's number 18. Hugh Freeze is 19, which is interesting because there's been no winning at Auburn his 2 years so far. Mark Stoops is at 23. Now, Kentucky's kind of interesting too. Mark Stoops, for the first, 8-9 years, he did a heck of a job, right? You could hang your hat on a great defense for Mark Stoops and a really good run game. The run game's evaporated the last couple of years. They've struck out and missed repeatedly on a quarterback in the transfer portal, and Kentucky's just kind of blah right now. They were never a contender for a national championship or an SEC title. I'm not trying to say that, but Mark Stoops did a pretty good job at Kentucky there for a while, but you've lost you've lost your calling card. You've lost what you hang your hat on, which is solid defense and a great run game. That's not been there the last couple of years. I know they still had a big upset win over Ole Miss last year, but I think Mark Stoops is kind of interesting there. Steve Sarkisian is number 29. Matt Rule is number 30. I mean, there's a lot of coaches here, but best active FBS head coaches, minimum of 4 years, based on the expectations, SP Plus rankings, the average baseline, and the sample size. Josh Heupel, according to Bill Connlley of ESPN, comes in there at number 2. Again, pocket protectors, spreadsheets. We're in the month of July. Again, the list, it's list season, it's talking season, is what it is. But I kind of found that interesting, and a lot of people don't like that. But when you base it specifically, not just on quality of wins, the number of wins, you base on the quality of expectations for the job, what Josh Heupel has done here at Tennessee. Remember where Tennessee was when he took the job, when he accepted the job. A black eye over the program. Everybody was actively recruiting, negatively recruiting Tennessee, right? Oh, they're never going to win again. They're going to be on probation for 10 years. They're going to be ineligible for the college football playoff. All that and more. You hit on a quarterback and Hendon Hooker, and you ran the football effectively, and the defense has come along each and every single year. So there's different ways you can look at it for sure. Again, I want to stress here, Ohio State and Georgia the last 4 or 5 years, the expectation has been 10, 11 wins. The expectation has been Big Ten SEC championship. The expectation has been the college football playoff. At Tennessee the last 4 or 5 years, that has not been the expectation, okay? Which is why I think Josh Heupel ranks so highly on this list. So I found that interesting. I thought that was kind of cool, and I wanted to bring it to the show. What do you think? He breaks it down to a number of different things here. There's best active FBS head coaches who have been at their spot for a minimum of 1 to 3 years. Kurt Cignetti of Indiana comes in at number 2. He's pretty high on that list. Mike Elko's on this list. He breaks it down to the best coaches of the past 20 years. Nick Saban, shocker, comes into number 1. Chris Peterson, number 2. Kirby Smart, number 3. Urban Meyer, number 5. And then he's got a couple other breakdowns here. So interesting stuff from last week over at ESPN.com, courtesy of Bill Connlley. But high on Josh Heupel, specifically against expectations set on him for the program when he took over. One other thing real quick before I get into Caleb Jarreau, the Daily Times. I'll put this on social media. Would love your interaction on there. Buy or sell. I'm going to do it every single morning this week. Mondays was buy or sell. Tennessee starts at least 2 quarterbacks throughout the 2025 season. So easy answer here is to say, well, injuries are a part of the game, and that's kind of where I'd go with that, right? Somebody could get hurt, somebody starts a game, all that. But where I want this conversation to steer is everybody's healthy. The starter out of fall camp, is he going to go the length of the season being the starting quarterback, or will he be replaced by the backup and or somebody else? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I have not seen Joey Aguilar enough. I have not seen Jake Merklinger enough. I truly don't. We live in a lot of unknowns right now. Okay? I mean, I've not seen Aguilar throw a football one time in person, right? I've not seen him go through the motions of, walkthroughs and any of that here in a Tennessee uniform. So I don't know. It's interesting, though. What do you think? Buy or sell? Are you buying that Tennessee's going to have multiple starting quarterbacks this year, which means someone loses the job or maybe nobody really takes control of the job? They play multiple guys to begin the season. Kind of interesting thing to think about. Want to hear from you at _Cain or Locked On Vols. Buy or sell? Comment on the social media channels as well. Tennessee starts at least 2 quarterbacks this year. Are you buying or are you selling? Caleb Jarreau, the Daily Times, going to join us next, giving me his thoughts heading into fall camp and what he thought from SEC Media Days last week in Atlanta, Georgia. All that and more coming up next as we continue on here with your Tuesday morning Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head onto a ball game with some friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize that you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can spend splurging on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes all that possible because a lot of times the tickets get cheaper the closer you get to kickoff or to tip-off or to first pitch, whatever the case is, right? Where else can you find cheaper tickets the closer you get to the start of the event? And it's not just sports. It's entertainment. It's concerts. It's comedy shows. I mean, there's stuff going on all the time at the Food City Center there at Thompson-Boling Arena. You can buy tickets to all those events and things in your area typically on the Gametime app. You can download the Gametime app today, create an account, put in the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Go ahead and download Gametime today. It is last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Caleb Jarreau on from the Daily Times, and if you're watching on YouTube, you see a change in location. Well, because the power went out here at the old friendly confines, but nonetheless, we persevere on. Hotspot laptop it is. Caleb, SEC Media Days, your reaction to Tennessee being preseason picked 9th by the league's media for this upcoming football season?
Yeah, I got to start off. Thanks for having me on. Don't lie to the YouTube people. You forgot to pay your power bill, so you got to call them after the show. But no, I think
it's why I need the support. You got to tell your friends about the show. Yeah,
the everydayers, they need to help you out. I'm not as shocked that Tennessee is 9th as some people. I think when you look at Tennessee's schedule, it's almost impossible for them to actually finish 9th. I would say, just with how easy that schedule is, and it feels like there's a lot of, nothing is easy in the SEC, but I'd say achievable wins on that schedule. But I think, and I'm sure you probably mentioned this on your show, they can move up a little bit, maybe 7th, 8th, 6th, I'd say is the ceiling projection wise. But you also have to remember, the people voting on this, it's not, just national media pundits or SEC, reporters from ESPN. A lot of this is guys who are reporters who aren't going to hide, their favoritism towards their school. I mean, Tennessee got a vote to win the SEC championship. Obviously, nobody seriously considers that, and Vandy gets a vote every year. So I think it's good bulletin board material if you want to look at it that way. But I also think you can't really, take it too seriously and say, oh, man, SEC media is out to get Tennessee because, a lot of these reporters are biased when they vote. But I don't think 9th is the worst. I think when you look at the offense, you lose Dylan Sampson, who's one of the best running backs in program history, and your quarterback area is a question mark. You're not going to have proven receivers. And you also have a good bit of turnover on the offensive line. So I think the defense sets a good floor, but I'm not shocked to see that they were voted 9th.
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina got 5 votes to win the conference. Vanderbilt got 2, Tennessee, Auburn, and there was one other, Florida, I think, all got 1 vote to win the conference. Again, it's kind of is what it is. And, Josh Heupel has exceeded the preseason media pick in 3 of his 4 seasons. Remember, last year, Tennessee picked to finish 7th in the SEC and finished tied for 2nd. So it's not anything. It's just kind of something to go on. I do think when you look at the standings, though, there's a clear tier here, right? There's Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU. That's tier 1 for me. And then there's the Floridas, the Oklahomas, the Tennessees, I'm forgetting somebody else I know, the A&M and the Ole Miss. That's tier 2. And then there's a bottom tier of Auburn, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Missouri, so on and so forth. Like I think you could go anywhere from like the 5th through 10th place team. There could be 10 or 15 different combinations of how those play out. Is that fair? I think those tiers kind of make sense. Like Tennessee is in that second middle tier. You can say Tennessee might be on the lower end of that tier because it's the only one with uncertainty about a starting quarterback where the others know where they're going. But I think Tennessee's in that middle tier to where, man, Tennessee can finish 6th, 7th, something like that, and it wouldn't become as any shock to me.
Yeah, and I think, speaking of the tiers, you look at last year, I mean, Tennessee made the college football playoff with 2 losses, and I think they ended up 4th or 5th in the conference overall. But then right below Tennessee last year in the final standings was a ton of teams with 3 losses who all had to get tiebreakers to kind of divvy up where they end up. So I think the tiers, like you said, Cainer, kind of play themselves out because I feel like that's quality for Tennessee to be in that 2 or 3 loss tier. When you look at their schedule, I mean, obviously you've got tough road trips to Florida and Alabama, but other than that, most of the games on this schedule are winnable, and you welcome Georgia at Neyland Stadium and you see what happens there. But like you've got a trip to Kentucky, which I feel like is a very manageable game. You've got Oklahoma still, Arkansas still. Like the schedule should play out pretty easily to where Tennessee, like I said before, may not be the best team in that second tier level, but with the schedule they play, if they can, hold up to the expectations, they should fall somewhere in the middle of that. And like I said, really right now you can only pencil, 2 or 3 losses on that schedule, and they're all 3 SEC losses. And all of a sudden Tennessee is in that middle tier and, maybe even the upper echelon of the SEC whenever it comes down to tiebreakers. So yeah, I agree. And like you said, last year they were 7th. So you're 9th now without a for sure running back, for sure wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 who will perform. And then also, obviously, the biggest storyline is you don't have a QB1 right now, and you're only 2 worse than last year, and you exceeded that. So I wouldn't be shocked if Tennessee jumps above, exceeds expectations again and doesn't finish 9th.
Yeah, and again, there's nothing easy in the SEC, and I know you just said that. So I'm not trying to act like this is such an easy schedule because it's not, right? I mean, you're on the road at you're on the road at Alabama, you're on the road at Florida, you're playing Georgia in week 3. Like, there's nothing easy about that. But when you look at Tennessee's schedule, in recent history, not last year, it's much easier compared to that of 2019, 2020, 2021, all that and more. Like, look at the teams that were preseason picked behind Tennessee: Mississippi State, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt. I mean, all those teams are on the schedule, right? I think it plays out to where, again, play good defense, run the football, don't be a turnover machine at quarterback. You're going to win 9 games, in my opinion. Now, do you have a signature win? That's what set this team apart than last year. Their signature win was the win over Alabama, right? Got them 10 regular season wins on in the college football playoff. What could Tennessee's signature win this year be of the big 3? Or maybe Oklahoma turns into a signature win for Tennessee at home in November. What's that signature win look like for Tennessee if it happens?
Yeah, I think for me, I think Georgia is a good one because obviously an easy pick would be Alabama because we don't know, Alabama's obviously going to be good. Kalen DeBoer's has coached a good team. They recruit well, but they're still questionable. Like, you don't have the same oomph that you had when Nick Saban was the coach at Alabama that you do now, where that Alabama is going to be a top 5 team every week. So that would be an easy pick, but I still worry just about Josh Heupel and this team on the road because they haven't really answered some of those questions about road performances. And Florida in the swamp, Tennessee has obviously performed pretty poor in recent memory. So that's a questionable one. I think Georgia is a sneaky one that Tennessee, if they're competitive and that defense is as advertised, when you get Georgia at Neyland Stadium with Gunnar Stockton and his first year as a starter there, I think that could be a game that Tennessee might be able to sneak away with just because I think that defense gives you a good bottom line. And I think playing at home makes it a lot easier on that offense. And especially with a first-year quarterback, first-year center to be able to operate. Also, week 3 is a little weird for that game. Obviously, we know Tennessee has questions, but Georgia's going to have questions too. And will they have those answered by week 3 or could Tennessee kind of sneak up on them? And like I said, with with the defense having a ton of returners answer. So I think Georgia is one I would circle. Oklahoma's a sneaky one too, because with the new offense and the new things they're drawing up, people are high on Oklahoma and that offense. Obviously, it doesn't reflect it in the SEC voting, but that they could sneak into Neyland and all of a sudden be very competitive at the end of November. So Oklahoma, I would circle as a maybe. I think Georgia is the one you kind of attack week 3, and you really get the bar for the season. But like you said, Tennessee plays the bottom 4 teams projected in the SEC this year. So at the very least, even if you lose to all your competitive teams, the season won't feel as bad just because of the teams you're supposed to play. And if the results hold true and everything holds chalk, like, you should take care of business against those teams.
Yeah, but you still want one of those signature wins. I mean, that signature win against Alabama last year carried Tennessee in the college football playoff conversations. Like, Tennessee's going to be very much in figure-it-out mode offensively in week 3. But if you're playing good defense out of the chute and you're playing at home, man, if you could steal that game at home against Georgia, that win could really propel Tennessee into the center of college football playoff conversations for the rest of the season. So that's a big ask. You know, Tennessee's had success against Florida and Alabama under Josh Heupel. Not Georgia yet. Could it happen this year? We'll see. Odds are against Tennessee, but certainly that's why you play the game. Caleb Jarreau from the Daily Times. As always, Caleb, thanks so much, man.
Yep, I appreciate it. Make sure you get a KUB on the line and get your power turned back on.
No kidding. No kidding. It's dark in here. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing a savings or planning for a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control of your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, your investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to just managing your money, you're also building wealth. For me, I mean, I've got stuff coming out of this account. I pay bills out of this account. Mortgage comes out of this account. I get paid in this account. I get paid by this podcast company in this account. I'm all over the place. I'm a bit scatterbrained, but with Monarch, it puts it all in one place. Keeps it simple and knowing where I'm getting money and I'm spending money. It helps me, and I think it can help you as well. So I encourage you to give it a try. You can take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Give it a try today with our friends over at Monarch Money. Every Tuesday, we like to dedicate at least one segment to answer your mailbag questions here on Locked On Vols, and you everydayers, seriously can't thank you enough for being here and sending in these questions. A lot of times, I've seen some more questions submitted here for today's show, and I thank you. I know we're getting closer to football, and once football season's here, man, I can do a whole show, a whole mailbag show, and that's really, really fun. So I appreciate you guys for sure for sending those in. All right, let's start with Lucas. Says, first and foremost, Jesus Christ is Lord, go Vols. Secondly, in your opinion, of the 2 big rivalry road games, Florida and Alabama, which is the most likely that we win? Interesting. I'm curious to see where Alabama is this year because, again, good team, really good offensive line. I have questions about quarterback. Is it going to be Ty Simpson? Is it going to be one of those freshmen? Is it going to be the transfer? I've got questions about quarterback. I do think going into Tuscaloosa, a place Tennessee's not won since, I don't know, one of those years, right? I do think, was it 04? I think it's 04. I think I've been saying 03 and 03. I think it's 04 and 03. I think Alabama's 04, and I think, I think last time you won in Tuscaloosa was 04, and I know last time you won in Florida was 03. Anyway, it's a place you haven't won in a long time. I could go look that up, but I'm not going to do that right now. But anyway, it's good. I've never thought that it's that challenging of a place to play. I mean, at least with Josh Heupel, Tennessee has given Alabama all that it can handle in Tuscaloosa. But I do think it's a better team than that of Florida. Now, the Swamp has obviously been a house of horrors. Where's Florida at the end of the season? Where's Tennessee at the end of the season? Remember, Tennessee beat Florida at home last year. Florida was playing a whole lot better towards the end of the season, knocking off Ole Miss, knocking off LSU. Florida was a different team in November. Where's Florida this year? I think it's both going to be really, really challenging. I'm going to say Alabama because I think top end Florida has more talent, certainly at the quarterback position, and Tennessee just doesn't play well at Florida. Tennessee's played much better at Alabama in recent memory, just hasn't won those games. but Tennessee plays better historically, recent history, at Alabama than does Florida. So I'm going to say Alabama, but ask me again once the season starts. We'll have a little bit better of an idea for sure. Carla, what are the top 3 things you want to see in Tennessee fall camp heading into the 2025 season? Obviously, number one is quarterback. I mean, that's the biggest question, obviously. I want to see Tennessee settle on a starting quarterback. I don't care if it's Joey Aguilar. I don't care if it's Jake Merklinger. I don't care if it's George McIntyre. I have no preference. I want Tennessee to be settled on a starting quarterback. I understand sometimes, like Brent Hubbs did a look-back piece. It was really, really good at VolQuest.com a couple of weeks ago of the 1992 Tennessee-Georgia game. Jerry Colquitt, Heath Schuler, and he talked to David Cutcliffe for that piece, and David Cutcliffe was quoted like saying, we weren't really settled on a starting quarterback. Like Jerry Colquitt performed better in scrimmages and in practice, but Heath Schuler had that it factor. So we really kind of wanted to see both those guys. And that Georgia game, which was like week 2 or week 3 of that season, I can't remember. Colquitt played 2 series in the second half. Heath Schuler won that job and never gave it back in the second half. So I understand there's sometimes situations like that, but most of the time, if you play 2 quarterbacks the first couple of weeks, it's because you don't have confidence in one. So I want Tennessee sold on a quarterback leaving fall camp. Number 2, I want Tennessee sold on a center. It's a burning question. We've had, really since Josh Heupel's been here. In 2021, Cooper Mays missed some time. In 2023, Cooper Mays missed some time. They slid down a guard. They literally moved a guard. And for spurts, Dane Davis, a tackle, they moved him inside to play center as well. There's never been a true backup center. So now's the time. Is it going to be William Satterwhite? Will it be Sam Pendleton, and then you start maybe a Max Anderson or a Jesse Perry or somebody else at guard? I don't know. I want to see what the plan is at center because that affects the rest of the offensive line. So those are my number 2 things. Quarterback settled, got to find a center and have some confidence in him, right? And number 3, I want to hear, and again, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? It's like, well, man, if the defense is showing out in fall camp scrimmages, boy, that's awesome, right? But then the offense, that's bad. Tennessee's defensive pursuit has been fantastic under Tim Banks, right? 3 of the 4 years they've had over 100 TFLs. That's a great stat. The sacks have got to increase. 2023, Tennessee had 41 sacks, most in the 4-year span of the Josh Heupel era. Tennessee has got to sack the quarterback more. Has got to. Joshua Josephs, highest graded defender for Tennessee last year, I believe, according to Pro Football Focus. Led the team in TFLs. Got to get home. Got to bring down the quarterback. Can't just affect the quarterback. Got to bring down the quarterback. So I want to see quarterback. I want to see a center. And I want to hear, because we're not going to get to see it, I want to hear about this team bringing down the quarterback, or, at least whatever they simulate that in practice. I want to hear that Tennessee is harassing quarterbacks defensively. That's what I want to hear. Carl, as always, I appreciate you being an everydayer. Jason, is the first day of fall camp a week from today, Eric? Media day is next Tuesday, the 29th. First day of practice is the 30th, which is a week from tomorrow. Randy, would you take the over or the under on these? Mike Matthews, 6.5 TDs. I'll go the under. Joshua Joseph, 6.5 sacks. I'll go the over because you need it to be over. You need it to be over. Give me the over, but history would tell me the under there with him. Tight end, 600 yards receiving. I'll go the under because history tells me that. Running backs, 25 rushing TDs. Give me the over. Give me the over. Give me it's not going to be Dylan Sampson-esque, but give me, Deshaun Bishop to give me 8 or 9, Peyton Lewis to give me 8 or 9, Star Thomas give me a couple garbage time TDs in those games against, those early games in the season. I think that's going to be pushing it, knowing you're not going to have a Dylan Sampson guy that gets you whatever he finished at last year. But give me 25. Give me the over there. Love the show. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Randy. Appreciate you. Mr. Bio, coach, says, I listened to a UCLA beat reporter commenting on how bad Aguilar was in spring at UCLA. Do you think this is a product of the talent around him at UCLA, or are Vol fans in for a long year, or are we getting a heavy dose of freshman quarterbacks? First and foremost, I would love to hear what you listen to. I mean, I haven't heard anything, right? So I'm not going to act like that didn't happen. I'm sure it did. The media contingent covering UCLA football is not like it is at Tennessee, so I'm intrigued to see how many reporters were actually there. Not discrediting the report. I would just like to hear it. But I don't know. I mean, Aguilar was obviously new to that program. He was a transfer as well. I'm sure the talent was nowhere near what it is around him there that it is going to be here, even with all the questions offensively. It's a work in progress, right? I mean, he was a brand new quarterback of that system. Plus, Tennessee's system is going to be different. Tennessee's coaching is going to be different. So much of spring and fall camp is mental. So I wouldn't buy into that too much, okay? It has nothing to do about his ability. I think that probably, again, I'm speaking, I haven't heard the interview, right? I think that's probably more to do with simply just adjusting to a new scheme in a short amount of time, but we'll see. Blake says, with Josh saying that there's over 20,000 people on the waiting list for Tennessee tickets at SEC Media Days, do you think there's ever a possibility of expansion of the new stadium? I do not, because just a couple years ago, they took out over 1,000 seats to put in that Jumbotron and the party deck there. So I don't think so. I would love to, but I don't think so. It was an arms race for a long time, right? To bigger stadiums. Now it's where can we make more money, right? Sawyer, is there one specific player you're going to be looking for, wanting to hear about during fall camp? I know there's several groups with question marks, but does one singular guy really stand out? Good question. Joey Aguilar, our quarterback, is not going to be in this because that's the obvious answer. Give me Mike Matthews, man. You need a dog in that room. I definitely believe Braylon Staley is going to be a big part of this offense in the slot position. But you need an alpha at wide receiver. I want to hear that. I want to hear that Mike Matthews is the alpha. Nick says, "Hey Eric, who do you think will be Tennessee's starting running back? Bishop, Peyton Lewis, or Star Thomas?" I think Deshaun Bishop will be the first one out there, but I think him and Peyton Lewis will pretty much co-manage that, and then Star Thomas will get a little bit of run there afterwards. And then this was from a couple weeks ago. I wanted to save it for a mailbag show. Davey Crockett says, I need a top 10 most anticipated newcomers list for baseball now that the draft is over. This was fun. I put this list together, again, open for interpretation. We'll go in reverse order. Number 10, give me Tyler Myatt, Triple Crown winner of JUCO this past year and an East Tennessee native. Number 9, Beard and Zone, Brady Frederick. I think he's going to be a great addition to the bullpen with the submarine delivery. Number 8, Trent Greinlinger, first-round talent. Okay, wanted to be in college. I'm not saying he's going to be your starting catcher, but he's going to be one to watch for sure. Number 7 is Ethan Moore. Did not anticipate him being here. Nobody did. But now he's here, and he's a really good infielder and a switch hitter. Number 6, Ethan Beato. I know I did not pronounce his name correctly. Weekend starter stuff, true freshman. Going to be really, really good here at Tennessee, right? I'm excited to see what his makeup is. Number 5, Blaine Brown. Two-way tendencies there, but also I love the bat. Number 4, give me Garrett Wright just because of the versatility and the bat. Number 3, Landon Mack, potential Friday night guy. Number 2, Cam Appenzeller. Whew! Man, one of those elite southpaws, right, from the high school class. What's he looking like? And number 1 is Henry Ford, who is a first-round talent for sure and could be your starting first baseman or right fielder for Tennessee this year. All right, that is going to do it here for this edition of Locked On Vols. Can't thank you enough. Appreciate you for being here. Award Wednesday coming up tomorrow. Thanks for sending in those questions. As always, fall camp a week from tomorrow. Oh, we are getting close, everybody. No better place to be dialed into it all than right here with Locked On Vols. Thank you so much. We'll do it again tomorrow. This is Locked On Vols.